Myrtle Witbooi, and I'm the General Secretary of the South African Domestic Service and Allied Workers Union. And I'm also representing the International Domestic Workers Network that represents about 17 organizations in the world.
In my area, some domestic workers bosses, they didn't treat him very well, and then they work long hours, and also they can give us the increase every year. If you ask for the increase, they fire you. The employers sometimes, they rape you, they take the drugs, and then they cannot talk with you nicely. You have no say because it's his own property.
We feel not appreciated, and we feel underpaid and even abused, because in these places you're even being abused through this family members. Some you don't take good care enough for the families, and so people when they're old, some of them forget, some of Alzheimer's, they forget, they remember the times when they still had maybe something, and now they think as that, they think back, and then they come look for that specific thing, and then they will say, okay, it's stolen.
I think, the reason why we use the vulnerable sector, although we sometimes want to move away from it, is because of domestic workers work isolated from other workers. They actually live alone, they stay in the backyard of the employers. Also, domestic workers are not really protected with social security and social benefits, so that is actually why they still call the vulnerable sector. But we are hoping that changes will come for the domestic workers. I think that SADSAWU itself was very fortunate that in year 2006, Hester, our president, was part of a delegation that went to Amsterdam.
My name is Hester Stevens, and I'm a full-time domestic worker.
And there they discussed what do they want as domestic workers, and most of the comrades at that workshop was domestic workers. And of course there was a lot of crying and a lot of things, and there they discussed what can we do to better our own lives. Unfortunately, like many other meetings, it slows down. And then the year 2008, I was fortunately to be invited because Comrade Hester made sure that she won't be able to attend all the meetings. So I was invited then. Getting there in Geneva, we discussed the way forward, and there we decided there should be actually a working body, and we formed a steering group. The steering group then consists of 7 countries, and there SADSAWU was asked, because of our strong labor rights in South Africa, if we would lead this delegation. And from there on we become part of the ILO. In the year 2009 we went to observe the ILO. In the year 2010 we actually took part in mock, how you speak in the ILO. We never knew that it was such a big thing. And then 2011 we were fortunate to be right in the ILO. SADSAWU was still lucky that we become the chairperson of the International Domestic Workers Network, and most of the workers in that network come from the migrant sector. But also if we look at what happened in 2011, you find that most of the ILO labor laws was actually taken from the South African labor laws, because many of those that was discussed that South Africa had it, but although it wasn't implemented. And then SADSAWU played a leading role. SADSAWU could speak at the ILO. What was the proudest moment for us all is that for the first time in the history of domestic workers or the ILO was 100 years old, workers could speak out for themselves and workers could take part in the ILO, which was never heard of. So for us, the 16th of June 2011 was a historical day for domestic workers. We call it a day where we received our freedom, our dignity, slaves no more. And SADSAWU was very proud that they could be part of that historical moment. Convention 189. A lot has been said about Convention 189. We find that a lot of countries want to ratify it. But what we have come to realize, unless your national labor laws does not comply with what Convention 189 is saying, then it's going to be senseless to even ratify convention. Convention 189 means that all domestic workers in the world, irrespective if you're urban, rural, migrant, you are now covered. It means that your laws has now become an international law, and that gives much more protection to domestic workers. Also, what was missing from your own national laws must now include what Convention 189 is saying. And basically Convention 189 is just bettering all the labor laws that there is in the world and giving those rights to protect the domestic workers.
We organize workers in trains, in the buses, taxi ranks. Most of the domestic workers during the weekend, when they are finished their work, they go and sit at the parks, and that's where we get them as SADSAWU to educate them about their rights and to invite them to attend our meetings. What we want to achieve as domestic workers is to see the employers complying with the law. Still have the problem with the domestic workers who fear to join the union. For fearing for intimidation or dismissal. So we want them to learn more. We want SADSAWU to grow.
We share this challenge globally. We can see the challenges that in Kenya we face is the same challenge someone in Philippines, someone in USA, someone in any other African country they can face. Kenyan country has been successfully in organizing domestic worker, and especially this has been done through building up committee members in every location of the country. Because we have got 42 counties in Kenya. Domestic workers have also come up with a network system whereby they SMS each other to remind each other about meetings. Domestic workers forever, to stand for their unity.
I believe it's important for every workplace to join SADSAWU because you must know your rights, and you are being so treated unfairly in these places. I see a workplace as your second family, and there is where there must be understanding between the boss and the workers.
I think in our case, what has happened is Christine takes on a lot of responsibility for running the home, and I give her that responsibility. So I think for me, making the boundaries clear, making sure that the duties are well understood, and then giving over the responsibility, takes full responsibility of the kitchen, the cooking, and she raised the kids when she had all those duties when the kids were a lot younger. So I think it's working together but independently. The UIF is another whole ball game, hugely frustrating. I had a situation, we signed up in 2003. In 2007, can you just check that my employee is registered with me? No, they said they've never heard of her. I said, but I've been paying for her for 4 years. No, they've never heard of her. Now this was after a lot of phone calls, they never answer the phone. If anybody, you show this to anybody for UIF, they make it so difficult. I know lots of people who just absolutely refuse to sign up because it's just not worth it. And I've spoken to my friends who've had exactly the same experience, but the girls have had a worse experience because after you've paid all that time, they've never heard of you. And if somebody on the phone from the UIF can tell me that there is no UI32 form, and in fact now I find that there is, isn't that a problem? So surely, they've got no training, they're really not interested. The customer service, hello UIF, is shocking, and it's just another government department that doesn't work.
I think that there is a bit of disappointment for us. We do realize that our government is very relaxed because our government or our labor department feel, yes, they do have most of the labor laws, but we really firmly believe that if our government will sign the ratification of Convention 189, they will open it that Africa will follow. We firmly believe that the way our government was supporting us, that yes, South Africa will be the first. We now realize that we became relaxed of thinking, yes, our government is going to do it. So now what we do, we've been constantly sending letters to our Department of Labor. We even had a demonstration, but now our Department of Labor has informed us they cannot do anything any longer. It is with the President and its cabinet. We have now sent letters to the president. We get different responses. Yes, it is there, we must just ratify it. Up to now, we don't have it. So that's why the 12 by 12 campaign is ending on the 12th. We want to take a delegation there and just go give a letter there or do something just to show our government we are disappointed in them because we really thought that they will take the lead.